clear something up first. A couple weeks ago, Matt said that Phil Snow beat you in a push-up contest. Is that true?
Just see film. It's a lose-lose situation for me. I mean, Snow's probably one of the strongest. We joke around with him with his age and everything like that. But I mean, he works out every day. I mean, he's a strong guy. So it was a situation right there. It was like I'm just going to keep going until I can't in that situation. But I'll see film.
I think I asked Sam this, but is Phil old guy strong?
Yeah, Phil is strong. Phil is strong. I know. I didn't look at him while I was doing the push-ups and whatever, and I didn't know we couldn't take a break while it was going. But no, Phil could have kept going as well. I think we stopped Snow. So no, all in good fun. But yeah, Snow is he's strong. He's not just old man strong.
Wasn't Sam the one that said he wasn't sure you had been working out lately?
There's not an ounce of it. No, it's all good.
So having Christian back in this offense, what did you learn last year without him, and what's he going to bring to it coming back?
Look, it's football. You learn that, no matter who, you're going to put 11 players on the field, and you're going to have an opportunity to. That football just goes on, and you got to find out who your players are and what they do well, and try to put them in positions to have success. And obviously having a guy like Christian, he's one of the best football players in the league. He's obviously brings so much to the game that not one player can really just make up for his his game. But those guys that stepped up in his place last year, it was good to see them get a lot of experience and whatnot. And I know Christian, obviously not playing in the preseason, he's ready to get back and being Christian McCaffrey again.
How much of the way that you talk about Sam taking chances, how much of those are you trying to kind of control on your own terms as a staff offensively, in terms of not giving him as much freedom to operate as far as that thing goes?
No, I mean, look, you play quarterback in this offense. I mean, you're going to take chances. I mean, and it's not just take chances. It's playing within the system. So there's times you're taking chances that's within the system. We got a matchup. You get something to your advantage. You get an alert. Let's take it. So it's not being a conservative mindset. It's just playing within the system. And I think Sam has shown through training camp and through the preseason games that he's going to continue to take what the defense gives us. And when he plays like Sam Darnold and just plays within the system, good things happen.
What does that look like? Plays like Sam Darnold. I guess you would have saw that before you.
Something about it. Sorry. No, it's when you I'm sure you guys have talked with Sam, and just Sam's extremely competitive, but he's even keel. And when he's getting in there, when his feet, when he's playing within rhythm, and he's getting the ball out on time, and he's feeling comfortable in the pocket, he can make every throw. I think when we talk with Sam, to me it's when Sam tries to do too much, and he knows that. So it's like, hey, Sam, when you're playing within the system, and you're not trying to make the extra, just an ordinary play extraordinary. Sometimes taking the check down to Christian McCaffrey is a good play, and so when he's doing that, when he's playing within the system, it's he's a good quarterback.
So how do you balance it? Because some of his best highlights and some of his worst highlights are trying to make plays.
Yeah. So look, I'm not gonna coach the athlete out of him either. He's a quarterback that does a great job off schedule. So it's not one of those things where it's like, hey, don't leave the pocket. He makes great plays when, it's a big point of emphasis of our guys of, when we break the pocket, finding ways, staying friendly to the quarterback so we can continue to make plays. So we're not putting chains on him in a sense of like, don't leave the pocket or anything like that. And I don't want to take the athlete out of him. I just don't want him to feel like he has to be anything more than just being Sam Darnold, be anything more than just, taking what the defense gives him on particular plays.
Was there a chunk of your offense last year, Joe, that you just sort of shelved with Christian, a hustle on the show?
I mean, I think last year, just in and of itself, there was limitations on what you could and could not do with Christian, without Christian. Just with the time on task, and not necessarily saying as an excuse, but just the reality of just the time you had to rep with each other and whatnot. And there's certain elements that Christian can obviously do that there's not a lot of football players that can do. But the guys, like I said, with David, that the guys stepped up and were able to do that, in those various roles. And so we've, kind of taken a step back this offseason and kind of figured out like, hey, who we want to be identity-wise, what we did well, what we didn't do well, and I'm excited for Sunday to be able to display that.
What is the single most important thing that he brings to Christian on the field that maybe other players can't because of their physical limitations? What is it you look at and say, he can do this a lot allows us to do this and other players don't?
Well, I mean, there's not many players in the NFL that on any given moment that they touch the football, there's an opportunity that they can score a touchdown. You know, Christian's a guy that you can throw it behind the line of scrimmage. Great play call. You threw it to him 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, you know, and he can take it 80. And he's shown that throughout his career. And so, you know, that makes life easier as a play caller. But you know, he's very dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's a great runner, obviously, first and foremost. But he can make plays out of the backfield and he can protect. He's a complete running back. And so, you know, when he's out there, but just getting him the ball and good things happen. You know, he makes bad play calls look good sometimes. You know. I've seen that firsthand.
You talked about looking back at last year and what identity you want with the team. How have you seen your personal process evolve as a coordinator, and what type of changes did you make now heading into the season after reviewing that?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with, you know, just figuring out your personnel. You're getting a little more opportunity with your personnel and finding out, you know, the various roles that the guys have. And I think in the NFL, it's very role specific in terms of certain guys, you know, make a career in this league by doing certain things. And so just getting an opportunity to really hone in on that, you know, in free agency and the draft process, and just get an opportunity in OTAs and training camp and just really see what these guys, you know, are best at. And, you know, from an offensive standpoint, we were able to get together as a staff, you know, through, you know, off season. You know, last year we were installing as an offensive staff through Zoom and Teams, and so just getting an opportunity, we're all in the same room together, talking through ideas, talking through thoughts, you know, just cleaning things up. And so it was fortunate. We all obviously got closer from that standpoint, and you know, I've been excited. I've been happy with the way that we're all meshing together, and I think that always leads to, you know, great things on the field. And you get an opportunity to be around the guys from a relationship standpoint. That's something that you couldn't do a lot of last year. So being able to be in the locker room, in the meetings, you know, I know that doesn't necessarily think that it you know, it translates to points necessarily, but you know, the closer that you are with the quarterback, the closer that you are with some of these guys that you couldn't be a lot around, couldn't be with them a lot last year. You know, I feel like we're all closer from that standpoint.
Personally, have you seen any changes in maybe your coaching style from year to year?
I try to, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I try to pride myself on being the same person, being consistent. You know, I'm always going to want to work to get better, obviously. You know, I know when you can look at stats, whether they're good or bad, and you have to improve. And so personally, I've had the same approach. I don't have a bigger chip on my shoulder or anything like that. I'm approaching it this week. It's obviously the most important game of the season because it's the next one, and that's just kind of how my mindset always is.
Joe, some of the people who grade players based on tape like PFF didn't necessarily have a high opinion of some of your offseason acquisitions on the offensive line. What do you see that gives you an amount of confidence in Cam, Pat, and the rest of that line?
Well, look, I think first and foremost, obviously, I trust our coaching staff and our personnel department. This isn't something where, you know, when we make a decision, I'm the only one that watches it, or Coach Rule's the only one that watches it, or Fit, and the decisions happen. And, you know, I think from an organizational standpoint, we're all in it together. And so we're not necessarily turning on the tape, or, you know, PFF has been great for our sport and everything like that, but we're not necessarily just sitting there saying, hey, who graded out the highest, that's who we're going to target. We're looking for skill sets. We're looking for, you know, what they can bring, whether it's a mindset, it's a personality, it's a certain type of fit to our offense that maybe they were able to, you know, showcase in a previous offense, or they weren't. You know, that's the little things that we look at. It's not necessarily, you know, production.
With Cam and Pat in particular, what were the things you see?
Well, I think you see a guy in Cam who has, you know, his physical traits. You know, he's long, he's athletic, and he brings versatility. And you know, when you see a guy that can run, you run like Cam, you know, he has with his length to be able to get his hands on you, and he has a physical, you know, element to him. You know, the issue with Cam is he's been unfortunate that he's had to miss some games. You know, but when he's been on tape, you know, we were excited and we were pleased at what he did, and we felt like he was going to be our left tackle. And then Pat, you know, when you turn on the tape with Pat, you know, Pat, same thing, had a couple, you know, hiccups with injuries recently, but when you turn on Pat, he's a physical. He just kind of gets after it. He's one of those guys that, you know, he's that Ohio wrestler mindset, and so we loved that about him. We felt like that scrappiness, that mindset is something that, you know, we didn't need to the offensive line. He's athletic and he bring versatility that can play all three positions inside. I'm sorry, I'm always bad at this. I haven't been with you guys in person in a while. I gotta know who I look at.
Speaking of the offensive line, there was a shakeup at the beginning of the week with the change in John Miller's status. And Coach Rule said that the matchup he felt between offensive and defensive line would be one of the key things going into this game. Can you talk about that matchup and then also the change there at offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, anytime a guy gets injured or with what's going on, health-wise, but we kind of have the same mindset now that hey, next man up. We've been saying it all through camp. We've been shuffling guys around, really trying to build depth. The versatility and the depth, like we said, I kind of said it a couple weeks ago, is the reality of it is you don't really make it through now 17 games with the starting five. You're really lucky and fortunate if that happens. So we've been preparing and building for that. And then with regards to this week, like, Coach Sala, Coach Ulbrich, their defense starts up front. They rush the passer, they penetrate, they play great run defense. Everywhere that both of them have been, and so that's a huge key to victory is that line of scrimmage. And I know that that's a huge point of emphasis probably for them and likewise for us. And so I'm sure, and I know our offense line is up for that challenge, and I'm sure that they're the same.
With all the weapons you guys have added around Sam and Christian, how realistic, even in the 17th game, is it for Christian to do 1,000 again with the way you want to spread the ball around?
Statistically, all that stuff, that's really nothing that I ever really think about. I think we just go into a game week in and week out and just figure out, what are the matchups in our favor. And but I think if you spend so much time on trying to figure out, hey, I'm gonna get this guy this many touches, this guy this many touches, this guy this many yards, it never plays out that way. There's oftentimes you can think it's a great play call, and I'm gonna get Christian McCaffrey the ball here, and they take that away, and you got to get the ball to Darnold in this situation. So that's one of those things that's not really on my mindset right now. I'm just trying to find ways to get guys involved this week and come away 1-0.
And with that, is there a plan in place, or what is the plan to make sure you don't wear Christian out over 17 games?
We're taking it like we've kind of said all along. We're taking a game at a time. We'll see how the game kind of dictates itself this week. But I know all the running backs in that room are going to be ready to rock. When their number's called on.
So you and Scott were at BYU together, I think, to see Zach. What were your impressions of him that day? And then, kind of as that day unfolded, did you leave there thinking that the Jets were was there a sense there that he wasn't going to fall to you guys in the draft?
I think it's just something. I think it's important that you just always get eyes on top, whether you have a quarterback or not. I think it's important to always get eyes on the quarterbacks. So, but I didn't walk away there thinking, hey, who is anybody going to take anybody? It was just like, hey, come in there with my mindset, just evaluate the quarterback and kind of go from there. And I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in this league, and obviously starting as a rookie, speaks to the volume, the type of quarterback that he is.
Well, what was your assessment specifically?
He's going to be a really good quarterback.
What specifically have you seen from Sam, or even additionally, what's around him that gives you the confidence that he can supersede his performance from earlier in his career?
Well, I think Sam. Sam's not. I think he's one of those guys that he understands kind of what happened in the past, and he's not sitting there just thinking about it all the time. I think he has the right mindset right now and the approach. I mean, I know there isn't a harder working player in this building right now, and he's been like that since we got him in the OTAs and training camp. And so I don't know if it's anything's changed from that standpoint, but the Sam Darnold that we've had, he's been a pleasant to coach. He's been great to be around, and the guys are feeding off him. And I think he's a confident football player right now, and I'm excited for him to perform on Sunday.
Last question. What prior to getting him here and being able to meet him, gave you the comfort or that he would possibly be good in your arm?
Well, I think, and I think a lot of it, I don't think you just sit there and say, hey, in our offense, I think the offenses change year to year, and I think, and when I say that, it's not a holistic change. You're changing more on what type of personnel you're going to be. I think you're continuing to expand your game and whatnot. And so you look at a guy like Sam with the traits that he has, the way that he can throw the football and the way that he can play off schedule and make any throw on the field. And so you saw that and you said, hey, you know what, you can build an offense around this guy. You saw a guy that, regardless of the record, that was there, he was staying in the pocket, he was getting hit, he was getting back up, and he's a tough guy. And then I remember him coming out. I was evaluating him and throughout the process, but I've heard nothing but good things from a personality standpoint. So when you put that all together, you know that, hey, you get a guy that's going to come in here and you're excited to work with, and feel like he's going to perform within your system.